2, 3.
Can you hear me?
A little bit better.
Can you hear me at all?
Yes, a little bit.
Well, that's too bad. I don't know why we can't hear each other.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess we're gonna have to go this way. Oh, you got your motorbike in the background.
Yeah,
I see. Nice.
I do. Yeah.
Did you won your class, right, at the Dirty Fest?
Well, not on the motorbike. I didn't. I got third on the motorbike.
Okay.
But
all right.
I got first on the pre-1980 cruiser class.
Okay. All right. Can I ask someone that's watching? Can you hear Tim? If you can hear Tim, if you just comment, let me know that you can hear him. That way, I'll just keep going and I'll listen real closely.
Maybe I should hold it closer. Does that help?
Really go.
I tried this other thing and it didn't work, so now I just have to hold my phone. But,
Oh wow. Okay, I know there has to be someone. So, anyways, this is messing my whole vibe up, bro.
You can't hear me?
Clint Von Shepherd, can you tell me if you can hear Tim speaking?
Okay, I'm going to talk. Can you hear me speaking?
I can hear you barely, but I want it's messed up with the audio. I want to make sure that other people can hear you. Maybe it's just me.
Sure. I've got a little microphone icon. I don't know what I can do with that.
Did you push it or hit it? Okay, that's not it.
No, that's not it. I don't know why it's not working, but
okay. Anyways, everybody, I apologize once again. I do a weekly apology when I do this. Okay, Clint Von Shepherd says he can hear both of us.
Good.
Cool. Thanks, Clint.
Good. That's awesome.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to really listen in on what you're saying. But thank you very much, everybody, for coming on and watching. I've been wanting to talk to Tim for a while now, and I just happened to run across him in the parking lot at Dirty Fest, and I couldn't resist. Now you're sideways, bud.
All right, I'll go back.
There you go. you got a tabletop going, bro.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But anyways, I want to talk to Tim about, mostly I want to talk about Reach, but I want to preface a little bit about Nebraska, bro. I mean, like, you're way back in the day, and you're like, what I read on your little bio on when you got inducted in the Hall of Fame over there in Nebraska was like you built the first track in the whole state or Omaha, right?
In Omaha. It was our first track in Omaha. There was actually a track in Lincoln where Greg Grubbs raced, and they beat us by a couple of months on that one. But I raced at the first race at that track too. So, man,
what was I mean, I know what the culture was like in Southern California, but I grew up in the in the San Gabriel Valley, and I pretty much, if it didn't happen at Azusa or Pipeline, I really had no idea what was going on. Even in like the Valley or San Diego or stuff like that. And I know that the culture where I grew up with BMX is pretty strong. And I started racing probably, I started riding in like 1979. But what was it like a real like competitive atmosphere out there in Omaha, or were you like only like the three of you guys?
No, we had a lot of kids. I mean, we had, I was probably 13, so I was in the older group. And, it took me like 2 years to even get a third place. To get a first place trophy, because, the guys were so fast. There was a guy named Doug Olson who rode for Torker, and you probably remember him because at the end of 78, he moved to work for Torker. He moved to California. But, we had some strong competition. My best friend, Chris Hayden, he lived right behind me. and he was, he was a big, burly guy. I was a skinny 140-pound kid, but he was my best friend. And so he didn't have to train, but I did. And
I never trained one day in my whole life.
Yeah. Well,
so
I didn't either until I figured it out.
Were you like a prodigy? Because like I talked to like Jason Donnell and these different types of guys where they were on a bike at 5 years old and they were already factory. Like I find that like so like foreign, like because when I was riding, I rode for years. Like we would build dirt jumps in the vacant lot across the street, and then gradually progress up through your proficiencies. Was that you, or were you just like you just got on? You were your prodigy. You started racing. You were good.
Well, I mean, like so many guys, I was jumping my bike from like age 8. I didn't know what BMX racing was, but, you know what I mean? But we'd build jumps in my driveway, and that's what we thought BMX was. And so, we were pretty good. We were pretty skilled. We'd make our own little circular courses on empty lots, and we kind of got our start that way. I actually lived in California in '69, from '69 through end of '68 to early '70. My dad was transferred there, and I saw kids jumping, in my neighborhood. I lived up in Woodland Hills.
No, okay.
Which probably wasn't far from you.
Really. South Pass.
And, but I didn't race on dirt, but we had kids jumped curbs, and I'd the bigger kids, try to follow them. And then we moved back to Nebraska quickly, but our neighborhood was kind of like in Nebraska was sort of like the cultivating ground, for BMX. And what helped is in 1975, a guy called Brad Fanshaw, you met him. He was with me out at Dirty Fest. Brad moved from San Diego to Omaha. And he saw us jumping in my driveway on my ramp. And it wasn't a motorbike, but it was a Graco. It had shocks on the front and the back. And he rolled up on a mongoose with moto mags. And we're like, whoa, what is that? You know what I mean? And so that kind of, him moving into our neighborhood, and then his dad and my dad talked to a bike shop owner, and we got a track going. But, that played a part, having him kind of bring it to us, kind of more modern day racing. So,
what we used to do is we used to use my dad's car ramps. The car repair ramps where you pull your car up on those?
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever seen those before?
Yeah.
So we used to measure the squares in the sidewalk, and we used to go ramp to ramp. So we'd like kick it out like 2 squares, 3 squares, 4 squares, 5 squares, and we get to like 13, 14 squares. I mean, that's like, I don't know what that was, 29, 30 feet or something crazy. And that's what we used to do before we started racing. My brother and I did, that is.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's what we did.
We jumped trash cans and tires, and, it was insane. We jumped like 30, 40, 50 feet. But, yeah, that's kind of how I got started in all of it. And then once we started racing, we all got real competitive.
And that's when you found Bill's Bicycle Barn.
Right. Bill's Bicycle Barn was the only shop in Omaha that sold BMX bikes, and he's got a lot of credit into, I'm trying to hold this thing, into starting that first track. And, we had a team. We had guys from West Omaha, the Gavin brothers. There were guys from Central Omaha. We got a guy that was really fast that only raced 1 year. His name was Crazy Jeff Wolstrom. And he was like super fast and crazy. But, it kind of filtered down through the years. Well, I was going to try to tell this story. When we were 15 and winning locally and regionally, we'd start traveling to, national or regional races. And that's where we'd find like Stu Thompson and Kevin McNeil and, and so we had to race those guys. And then we figured out we had some work to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can relate to that. And what kind of bikes did Bill's Bicycle Barn carry? What brands?
Well, he had the Graco. You know what that is?
I think I do. It's a suspension bike, right?
Suspension bike with a 22-inch front wheel.
Okay.
And so he had that, and then he probably had some Webcos and power, pedal powers, and I had a Webco Monoshock.
Oh man!
Actually, still have a Webco Monoshock over here hanging up.
Nice, dude.
Yeah, I mean, what else did he have? Then he got into. Then he started, Redline, made red lines, and then it just took off. And then, after that. But
so, which one did you choose?
I went from my Graco to a Webco Monoshock, and then I raced it once or twice, and then I realized it was too heavy, like everyone else. And then I traded a guy called Mike Daly, who went on to be kind of a local motocross star in the Midwest. He's still a good friend. We went to high school together. I traded him for a Mongoose, like a 76 Mongoose, and then I tricked that out with Redline forks, and then from there.
Did the 76 have the weird gusset down by the
by
the bottom tube?
Yeah, I wish I had that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
That was a kind of a rare bike. I think it was mild steel.
Yeah.
Maybe the front triangle might have been chrome.
Maybe that's the kind that fell off of Bobby and Cena's truck. Have you heard that story?
No.
Yeah, Bobby and Cena's owned the very first Mongoose ever made, and he had it on the back of a truck, and he was driving down the freeway or something, and it fell off, and he didn't realize that he lost the damn bike. So some guy's driving down the highway, picks up this bike off the middle of the road, and it's the first Mongoose ever made.
That's wild.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah. I mean, think about the bikes we had that we wish we would have hung on to. I mean, it's just the list goes on. I had it. Then I went to had a Torker after that, and then I went. Everyone was riding PK Rippers, but then I saw a GJS, so then I was into GJSs. I had two of those, and yeah.
So when I remember, going fast forward a couple of years, and when my formative years, like 81, 82, I always remember you on a cruiser. Were you racing 20s back then, or were you strictly pro cruiser?
Well, I was racing. Okay, taking it back, rewinded just a bit. So we turned 16, and back then you'd have to, at big races, the pros would race 16 expert as well. And so we got this crazy idea right when I turned 16 that I would turn pro. And so Chris Hayden, my best friend, he turned pro. And so then, like, instead of winning races, we were like just hoping to make the main. Well, this would have been 79, I think. But to tie that into the cruisers, I broke my shoulder in 1980, like in the spring, and I think I was in top 20 in ABA pro points, and I was bummed, of course. And the bike shop I worked at had a Champion, those square back double down tube. They had a cruiser, and I built it up, because doctors told me I wasn't supposed to ride, and I found out I could actually go pretty fast because it didn't have to pull as much. And I was still kind of recuperating from my broken shoulder, and I raced national here in Omaha, and I won. And
that's awesome, man.
Yeah, Kevin Harlow was there and a bunch of other guys, and I won that race. And I thought, well, this is pretty cool. And so I won another national, and then I got some seconds and thirds. And before you know it, I was in contention for the #1 cruiser rider at the Grands, like Mark Darcy was too. And I saw Mark's name on here.
Yeah.
And so that I liked the cruisers, and I stuck with them at that point.
Did you abandon the 20, or you still race the 20, but you just added the cruiser?
Yeah, I didn't race a 20 again until like 1984. Well, no, that's not true. When I worked at ABA my home track was Chandler, and I built up a 20 and I raced pro at Chandler, like, on Friday nights and stuff. If I wasn't out of town. And
what bike did you have? The 20? What brand? Reach?
At first it would have been probably a Power Light, and then when I worked at ABA, we did a test on a Hutch Pro Racer, and we also tested the Cruise at 24, and Rich Hutchins said, just keep it. Can you imagine? And I don't have
not a bad deal.
And so
did you actually give your real opinion on the bike, or did you just tell him, oh yeah, it's really good? Or do you say, man, this thing doesn't handle worth the shit, man? I mean, do you really get those guys your real opinion, or is it just lip service?
We wanted their advertising.
There you go. That's what I thought. That's what Francie said too.
I like that Hutch. That Hutch was a good bike.
Yeah, nothing wrong with the Hutch, dude. Nothing wrong at all.
Yeah.
So was the ABA thing? Did that happen before Reach, or was that after Reach?
That was before Reach. Yeah, I actually quit ABA so I could start Reach with Woody Woodruff.
Right.
Who designed?
Okay, so
Woody designed.
This comes to the meat and potatoes for me, man.
Okay.
So in 1980, when did that release? Okay, first off, let me ask this: is the proper name Direct Link or Reach? Is Direct Link the company and Reach the model, or is Reach the company and Direct Link the model?
It's the other way around. Reach was the company, and Direct Link was the model.
Got it. Okay, I had it right.
Yeah.
I had it right. Okay.
And that came about because we had two names, and we liked both of them, and so we just used both of them. So.
Oh, okay. All right, I get it. Okay, that's cool. So, I give you mad props, bro, because it's not easy. I think I know, my brother worked for GT for many years. I think I know the work and what you have to do to bring a frame to market, but I can only guess. Can you share with people, like, it's not easy, right? I mean, there's so many hurdles you got to jump over to bring a frame to market, right?
Yeah, we found that out.
I mean,
but no, it's true. It is. I mean, we were going to build them all in Woody's. I'm shaking because I'm trying to hold this thing. We were going to try to build them all in Woody's dad. Woody's dad's a genius, just like Woody. I mean, Woody's dad, the whole backyard was a separate building that was a machine shop in Mesa. In fact, Woody still lives in that house. I'm pretty sure Woody still lives there. But I mean, his dad could fabricate anything, and so can Woody. I mean, he's built some incredible frames, cranks, wheels. I mean, the guy's just a genius. He builds his own race bikes. But anyway, so we got an order for like 200 frames right away, and we bought some tubing, and there was no way it was going to happen. I mean, they couldn't build them quick enough. So there was a company. Do you remember Trackmaster?
Yeah.
And Trackmaster is what do you call it? The high desert, like that's Lancaster up that way. And so I loaded tubing up in my little pickup, and I drove it over to Trackmaster, and they built the first 200 Reach frames over there. And we sold them all. We got orders. It was pretty incredible. And you remember 1983? That was a year that there were a lot of new frame companies that year, and BMX was really taking off. But
do you have any idea of how many frames you actually shipped?
Well, there were 200 on the first run, and there was another run, but I can't remember how many there were. And there's a whole other part of the story that most people don't know. Also, well, I remember hearing Greg Hill on a podcast on Dirty Knobs talking about how like they suppressed GHP.
Yeah.
Like they held him back. Well, we kind of had the same situation. And I'm trying to put this as mildly as I can because I still respect these guys. But about at the end of '83, the guys at Woodward in Pennsylvania wanted to invest in Reach. And they did. And we went along with it. And they had like 10 guys, each put in $1,000, which really isn't much money. But when you're a 21-year-old kid, you think that this is great.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it really didn't work out for us with them for a number of reasons. But they ended up sort of buying it from us. And we probably should have put up more of a fight than we did. Kind of regret that. So,
there you go.
That's that was our end of our involvement in Reach, and we should have kept it going. And well, you know, they kind of strong-armed us.
Got it. Okay.
They wanted me to move there. They didn't really want Woody to be involved, and you know, for me that was, you know, I stuck with Woody. I mean, he designed the bike, and
so that goes to my next question. Were you guys just trying to design a bike that was different, or did you guys really put a lot of thought into the rear dropout and that type of thing? Because I know that back in the '80s, I mean, people were trying to make different bikes, different frames. Was it just simply a different frame design, or did you guys actually put some serious thought into it?
You know, we need to get Woody on here one of these days because he actually came up with that himself, and I just, you know, thought it was fantastic. You know, I thought it was cool. I wanted to be involved.
I think I told you at Dirty Fest, man, I have bought the frame. I thought it was trick looking, but that damn frame had a mind of its own, man. Sometimes I could win. Sometimes it was like, man, it was definitely a challenging bike to ride. Did you ever race that? Did you ever race the frame?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I was looking up on the wall because somewhere around here I've got a picture of me in North Carolina with Ronnie Anderson. But yeah, I did one summer. I raced that. Yeah, the geometry, they kind of had a low bottom bracket, and the forks were kind of raked out a little bit. And,
so you guys never made a cruiser?
No.
Never made bars?
But you know, Joe Bomber from Nebraska,
yeah,
he won. Okay, so back then, I think they still do it this way. In the pro main at the Grands, you race 3 times. You know, and they totally were points. Joe actually got second in the 1983 Grand Nationals on a Reach frame. And he won the first round. So, I mean, it was definitely a pretty hot frame, you know.
Yeah. Did you keep serial numbers like Jim Milton where you ship the bikes?
No.
I was like, oh man, that would be sweet, man, if I could find out what happened to my frame.
It all happened pretty fast. Yeah, I don't have one anymore. I wish I did. I mean, a few years ago I did, and I let it go, and I'm really bummed. But here in Omaha, there's like 3 guys that have them, and I'm going to work on them. Try to get one.
I was the only person when I raced that frame in the Jag World Championships in '83. I don't remember seeing another Reach at the whole damn national. I mean, I was the only one that had one. I don't know, for good or for bad. I don't know which one it was, but they were not common frames. I knew they were in short supply.
Yeah.
So guys, so in all intents and purposes, there has to be less than 1,000 in the world, right?
Probably less than 500, I would say.
So now we're getting down into like the Andy Patterson numbers and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, because I think there's only 333 Andy Pattersons made. If there's less than 500 Reaches, I mean, that's a pretty rare bike, in my opinion, anyways.
Yeah, they made some in Pennsylvania. Okay, I don't know how many had they made, and I can spot them because the dropout's a little different, and I don't know how many they made, but they made them out of stainless steel, I believe, because the guy who was involved was a boat builder, like he built like railings for boats. Which is another thing we weren't really down with, but you know. But anyway, it was. There's some of those out there. I don't know how many there are. There's a guy, you know, James Vicente from Dirty Knobs.
Yeah.
He has one. I think his might be one of the Pennsylvania ones. I'm not sure, but we sponsored him. Woody and I sponsored him. He's just an excellent guy. I almost called him a kid, but we sponsored him, and he stuck with it. He stayed with Reach, you know, after we weren't involved, and you know, he probably has some of that information.
Yeah.
About what happened to it, but they didn't. I don't think, you know, there aren't that many companies that actually that succeeded back then. There were a lot of cool frames, but only a handful of, you know, that like GT, obviously.
Right.
So
for the frame that James has, is that the same frame he had when he was on the team?
I didn't get to see it. It was at Dirty Fest, but you know, that Dirty Fest, man, that thing happened so fast. Like, there are people I didn't even get to talk. I'm glad you came up and talked to me, because there's so many people I see in pictures that I wish I would have said hello to, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. But that would be sweet if that's the same exact frame he had when he was on your team. That'd been great. So who are the people in that Reach ad that I posted on your thing? Did you see the Reach picture with you three? Was that you?
Yeah, I was going to pull it out of the drawer. I've got it signed, but I didn't have a chance. But
who are the other guys?
Well, Woody Woodruff is kind of on the left, like kneeling down next to the bike.
Okay.
So that's Woody. He designed the frame. And then me in the middle in the back, I designed the logos and, you know, did the graphics.
That was Paulson, right? Paulson.
And Mike Paulson, yeah, on the other side. That was the first year of Woodward BMX camp. That's kind of how I got connected with the Woodward people. Is I was still working at ABA, and they asked me who I could recommend as trainers.
Me.
Well, no, actually, I think that was the second year. The first year was Greg Grubbs, Joe Baumert, Mike Polson, Mike Miranda. These are the names that I threw out at him. I said Greg Grubbs, Mike Polson, Mike Miranda. I wasn't going to be there at all. I was still working at ABA, but it turns out Greg really, it wasn't Greg's thing to hang out in the middle of Pennsylvania all summer.
So what did you do at ABA? You were the editor, like with the other one?
Yeah, I was the editor of ABA Action. Remember the newspaper you got?
Yeah.
All the points in the back.
So did people try to pay you off for more points?
No, but I almost went blind. You know, Brad Fanshaw and I laugh about this, because back then, to create a publication, it was all pasted on art boards, right? And so these points would come off this archaic, like, IBM printer in the office, and they'd be like, you know, the names were like huge, right? Well, we'd have to go on to what's called a stat camera, and then shoot a small picture so the points are real tiny, and then you'd have to like paste them in columns. So if you look at the newspapers, they're not straight. Okay, I mean, they might be, but they're probably not straight.
Wow. So let me ask you a question. Did everybody wear cowboy hats at the track in Nebraska, or was that just you?
Does everybody, what was that again?
Did everybody wear cowboy hats at the races, or just you in Nebraska?
I caught a lot of grief for that. I did, like one summer I did, yeah.
Dude, that's gangster, dude. I love that, man. But you didn't have the boots on. You just had the hat.
No, I didn't wear the boots or the belt buckle, or I wasn't like in full Gene Roden gear. But I like the hat. I still have one. You know, I don't wear it very often, but you know, it's kind of cool. But you know, Greg Grubbs and Joe Baumert, they're a couple of years younger than me, so they were into punk music and stuff, and so they gave me a lot of, you know, their harassment.
You kind of had like a Greg Brady look going back in the day, man.
Oh yeah, I had a white afro. Yeah. Actually had it during the pandemic. I grew it back.
So you're doing Reach, and then you got problems with the guys. They strong arm you out, and then the Bicycles and Dirt, or before, is that before ABA?
Well, that was Bicycles and Dirt happened while I was at ABA, and if you look at Bicycles and Dirt, the first few issues, there's no names on the photographs, okay? Because, you know, I still love these guys, you know, Merle and Gene. You know, Merle owned ABA. He didn't want people to think that Bicycles and Dirt magazine was part of ABA, okay? So my name was not allowed to be put in there, but everyone knew.
I never even picked up the magazine. So it was, Bicycles Dirt was owned by ABA?
Yes.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. Well, there were the great, as part of the great sanction wars and magazine wars of the early 80s, right? Bob Osborne wrote something about ABA that, you know, probably wasn't favorable, but it might have been true, you know?
Yeah.
Because, you know, people, you know, a lot was going on. Well, then Merle decided he was going to start his own magazine, and that's how Bicycles and Dirt, you know, came about.
Is that when Bob Osborne got banned? He didn't get a pit pass for a national, and ABA told him you're not getting the pit pass, so he banned all ABA. Have you heard the story?
Yeah, I was there during all that. Yeah.
So Bob Osborne banned all ABA advertising in BMX action, right?
Right. I think that's part of it. That's part of it went down. There are a lot of great backstories. We could do a whole, you know, we could do a whole episode just on the.
We will have to do another
scenes.
episode, because my hearing right now, I'm listening so intently to what you're saying,
yeah,
that I'm probably getting about 75% of what you're telling me.
Oh, man.
So to the audience, I apologize.
I hope other people can hear it. Darn it.
I don't know why I can't hear it.
Yeah.
So, so you're moonlighting, I guess, kind of with with Bicycles and Dirt. You quit, you go to Reach, and then but you keep racing. You keep racing after that, after Reach, right?
I did keep racing. I actually designed another frame that I had made here in Nebraska. I called it the Air frame. It was Advanced Innovations Racing, and you know, that worked for a while, but the frame builder went bankrupt, and I just kind of got burned out, and so I bought a Patterson PR20, and I just went around the Midwest racing B Pro for a couple of years.
What was your highlight? I mean, did you what race stands out, like you're saying, that's my race that I'll never forget? Do you have one of those?
During that time period, probably not. It was some of the most fun I had, because, you know, I guess it wasn't B Pro. It was called, in ABA, it was AA and A. And so I kind of transferred down to A, and I raced a bunch of fast guys in the Midwest. Like George Stewart was this big, fast guy from Kansas City. And, you know, generally he would win and I'd get second. Occasionally I'd win. We drove all the way to Texas for a race once. That was fun. But, you know, by that time I was in my mid-20s, and, you know, that was kind of old for a BMXer, and that was kind of the end of it, about 1987. So.
And then Direct Link comes back.
Oh yeah, that's another chapter.
You didn't learn your lesson the first time.
No, I got talked into it by my friend Chris Roulette, who's about 9 years younger than me, and he, if you're from the Midwest, you know Chris Roulette. He never quit racing, and so we started that together, and we wanted Woody to build the frames, because Woody was making some killer aluminum frames, but we just couldn't pin him down. So we went through a couple of iterations, and then we had Sal, who built all of the PK Ripper frames, he was like, Sal was SC's in-house welder, and he built frames for us. And, I did that for 3 or 4 years. I raced a lot, like in 4145 cruiser, 4650 cruiser.
See, that's why I will never race cruiser, because I got to race guys like you.
Well, now I have to race Harry Leary and pretty soon Eric Roop and Turnell Henry. I watch them. They don't know it, but I'm watching them every time.
I'm coming back on a 20 in September, so I got to go to Grand Prix tonight, actually, after this is over.
What's Grand Prix?
Huh?
Is that a track? It's
a track.
Grand Prix. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
cool.
Mike Redmond's track.
Nice.
Yeah. So, do you mind if I ask you what you're doing now? You're a photographer of some kind?
Yeah, I do video production. I've had
what
a video production. Well, I do like corporate training videos and TV commercials and events and that type of thing.
So you should be handling this video rather than me.
Well, I mean, you saw what I was trying to do. I was trying to hook up. Where's that? I was trying to hook all this stuff up. And I couldn't.
That's funny, man. Man, and you got the bike in the background. I love your bike. Why didn't you take the Webco to Dirty Fest? Too heavy?
Worth too much money.
Too much.
I thought. It's got a set of those Moto Mag ones on it that were like the Simi Valley Moto Mag ones. I don't know if I can show. I'll try to rotate the camera. Okay, there's the Moto bike. I got all my bikes hanging up, but there's the Webco Monoshock. There's the back end of it anyway.
Yep. That's beautiful, man.
But yeah. I'm thinking about.
I saw that red suspension bike on the back of that Jeep at Dirty Fest. Yeah. You know which one I'm talking about?
Oh, that was that Rick Gayton?
I thought that was Stu Thompson's.
Oh, that was Stu Thompson. Yeah, that was yeah.
So
I
didn't even realize it was his bike. I did like a reel on it, and I go this. I put my camera. I go, this is the best looking bike at the whole shot. At the whole show. And then a couple of days later, I was watching something on Stu Thompson's page or something like that, and he goes, "Oh, look, here's my bike," and I'm all, "Oh God, that's the bike that I saw at Dirty Fest." I didn't realize it was his bike. It was just on top. It was on the back of his Jeep.
Yeah, he had it all tricked out, man. He has a handbrake on it,
What?
And
is that a Gary Littlejohn, or what bike is that?
Well, I think the story on that actually is that Gary Turner made a few of those. You'd have to ask Stu or Dennis Dane. Dennis Dane knows a lot about it too. He made just a couple of those bikes, and Stu got one, and there's pictures of him, as a young kid jumping that thing, and there's pictures of Dennis Dane jumping that very same bike.
Crazy, man. So since I got you on there, what's your Grail bike? What's your holy Grail? Which one turns you on? The one in front of you?
No, a GJS. I had 2 GJS frames, and that's like I turned pro and I raced on a GJS, and yeah.
I'd like to find the Gary Littlejohn tandem pit bike.
Okay.
I mean, for some reason, that just turned like, man, that would be so bitching to find a tandem pit. I'd like to find that one.
I wonder how many of those. I mean, did he make those?
He didn't say before he died. I saw an interview with him, but he didn't say how many he made.
Yeah.
But or my Andy Patterson AP. Now AP 215. That's my.
Oh. Hey, can I make a plug for something?
Absolutely.
I'm looking for a 1979 OM Flyer. That's another holy grail bike for me.
Okay.
79 Owen Flyer, everybody.
Yeah, pretty rare. I don't know.
What color?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
You want just the frame and forks or the bike?
Well, either. Like, if I could find the frame, that'd be great. But if it had the forks, that'd be great too. And I think my best friend Chris, he lives here. He might have one in his basement. I just haven't been able to get him to go look. But he has like his original Redline Squareback. He has a Hutch Cruiser. I think he has two Redline Pro lines. But
yeah, I have a close friend from high school that has his original Flowable Flyer from like '82. And every time I talk to him, I'm like, dude, sell me the Flowable, dude. He's like, no, I'm gonna die with it. And just sit in your garage, man. I hate when the guys do that. But see, that's a problem. I'm all about the hunt. And then once I get it, I'm all, I get bored, dude. I'd sell it and move on to the next thing. That's my problem.
Well, yeah, like this motorbike, I bought at a garage sale like 12 years ago for $75. And I've got some before pictures of it too. I mean, it was pretty bad. But Dirty Fest was a good excuse to restore it. You know what I mean? And that Dirty Fest, it took me days to come down off of the high from that thing. That was so fun.
Dude, no doubt. Mike Miranda bought I had a 76 Huffy that I would have raced you, dude. And it was a Monoshock, the Huffy Monoshock. I don't know if you remember that one. But Mike Miranda posted pictures of it on Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah.
I sold him the bike. And I was like, dude, I wanted to race that bike so bad. I wanted to put tough wheels on it and race it. I would have ended up racing you, man. I would have gotten a fourth or what? I would have gotten last. Who was whatever in your class?
No, seriously. I found out that monoshocks are much faster than quadro shocks or whatever you call it. 4 shocks are slower than 1. That Mike Savage, he's got a Huffy monoshock. You know, he's the guy who won. And that thing's pretty trick. And
I didn't see that.
Yeah, if you look at the photos, like Race Day Images has good photos, and he's got a photo where he does a power slide through the berm, and he's an animal. He raced like 5 or 6 different classes. Like we'd be waiting in the gate for him because he was still bringing a new bike up the hill.
What was the guy's name?
Mike Savage.
Okay.
He rides for Crit Plate. The guys that did the number plates for the event. They're from the East Coast.
Yeah.
And he's been racing his whole life. And he won on a Huffy monoshock, so you probably would have done good.
Wow.
Got to do that.
I got to check that out.
Yeah.
Well, Tim, can you I need to ask you one more question before we leave.
Okay.
How do you pronounce your last name?
Okay. It's pronounced Lillethorup.
Got it.
Yeah. In Denmark, they just pronounce it Lillethorup.
You don't want to know what I called you over the years, man.
No, it's impossible. It's impossible. The king of Denmark in 1905 declared that you could change your name to your township. Okay. Our family name is Nielsen. Imagine how much easier that would have been. You know what I mean? But my great grandfather changed his name to the town. So there's a town over there named Lillethorup. And probably a lot of other people with long names too.
Well, Tim, you're a gentleman and a scholar. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to an over-the-hill BMX kid from the 80s, but I really appreciate your time, bro, and wish you all the best. Are you in California or are you back in Nebraska?
No, I'm back in Nebraska. Yeah.
Okay, so you're retired from racing.
Retired from racing?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. There's the Texas BMX days are coming up, June 24th.
Yeah.
So
maybe we'll see you at the next race, man. Tim, I from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you taking the time, and I hope that everybody that was listening and watching
Got some good information on Reach. The sketchiest frame I've ever ridden, man, but it was cool, dude. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, I really love what you're doing, and this was an honor. So thank you so much, man.
No problem, dude. I'm just a nobody sending somebody's text and saying, "Hey, dude, let's talk BMX."
No, man. But like, if the audio is bad on this, and send me the file, I'll clean it up.
Okay, I will.
Yeah,
all right.
But this was awesome, my friend.
Appreciate it, Tim. Thanks a lot, everybody. Thank you for coming by and watching our little episode tonight. This is Kevin Wilson. I'm the BMX Hunter. Next week we have Eric Cosin on, and I didn't even recognize him. He was at Dirty Fest, and he was the guy with the big beard. He's coming on next week, next Monday. So come back again next Monday, and we'll talk to Eric. Appreciate it, Tim. Thank you so much, and we'll see everybody next week.
Yeah, have a good one, buddy.
You too, man. Peace out.
Bye.